call this meeting to order at 6:01 p.m. Moved by Councillor Padu, seconded by Councillor Kristoff. Resolved that the Council of the Corporation of the Municipality Red Lake hereby consider sections 4 to 8 of the Part 1 consent agenda as read and adopt the items. Would any councillor like to discuss anything 4 through 8? And I'll start with Councillor Kristoff.
Okay.
Councillor Hager?
Nope.
Councillor Padu?
I am fine, thanks.
Councillor Butterfield?
All good.
All in favor? Carried. And moved by Councillor Kristoff, seconded by Councillor Padu. Resolved that the Council of the Corporation of the Municipality of Red Lake hereby consider all bylaws, Section 9 of the Part 1 consent agenda, as read without amendment or debate a first and second time. All in favor? Carried. And moved by Councillor Butterfield, seconded by Councillor Hager. Resolved that the Council of the Corporation of the Municipality of Red Lake hereby consider bylaws Section 9 of the Part 1 consent agenda as read a third time and passed. Would any councillor like to discuss any of those items? And we'll start with Councillor Padu.
I'm good.
Councillor Butterfield?
No.
Councillor Hager?
Nope.
Councillor Kristoff?
I have none.
All in favor? Carried. Okay, we're gonna move down to our Part 2 regular agenda. There's no referred and deferred items, no reports of council. And we'll slide down to number 12, the administration reports, and 12.1A, Red 49, Mr. CAO.
Thank you. So Red 49, the forest fire, was started on August 10th, just outside of Madison. That came within 2 kilometers of Red Lake, the Buffalo area. 0.7 kilometers of the Hydro 1 grid power lines, and approximately 2 kilometers from Highway 105 and the Enbridge natural gas main line. This put our community in a very vulnerable state. Just over 3,800 people at a moment's notice evacuated. There has been much to learn from this experience, but the important fact is that everyone is safe, our families are safe, our pets are safe, and our homes were not damaged and or destroyed. 177 essential workers stayed behind and worked collaboratively to ensure the safety of our community. Neighboring communities stepped up to support our residents, and that stretches from here to Thunder Bay, Kenora. But I specifically want to mention the communities of Dryden and Muir Falls. They really stepped up to help our residents, and they are still doing it today. Tourism camps opened their doors in some cases, or in most cases, did not charge our residents. So we were humbled. We were thankful to all those individuals, businesses, organizations, government agencies, and communities helped us through this very difficult time. And I'd be remiss not to mention the Kenora District Services Board. They stepped up and helped out as well. So thank you to them as well. So now we must work through the aftermath of the costs associated to Red 49. We're communicating with the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing on how to access funds through the Municipal Disaster Recovery Assistance Program. To be eligible, a municipality must have experienced a sudden or unexpected natural disaster with certain costs impacts. Incur eligible incremental costs that can be linked to the event and meet or exceed 3% of the municipality's own purpose taxation. And our own purpose taxation is $8,272,281 and change. So 3% equates to $248,167.46. So we have to incur costs. We have to meet that threshold to receive any type of funding. This program is based on a sliding scale cost sharing formula. The municipality would be responsible for a percentage of the cost. So the cost to that 3% threshold at $248,167 $746. The municipality would be responsible for 25% of that, and that equates to $62,041.86. Therefore, the provincial government will be responsible for the other 75%. Costs beyond the $248,000, the province would pay 95% and the municipality would pay 5%. We have 120 calendar days to submit our claim, and a claim submission must include a council resolution requesting assistance, demonstrate all costs incurred, and provide future cost estimates, and you must have a detailed supporting documentation as well. So at this point, and considering this is preliminary, we are in the preliminary stage of collecting data. The cost of Red 49 will far exceed $248,000. I'd like to open it up to council for discussion and comments.
Thank you, Mr. CEO. Fantastic report. As we've experienced Red 49, as all of us know, it's a very stressful time for our community, a lot of anxiety, a lot of unknowns. And I must say I was very proud of our municipal staff and our community partners for stepping up to the plate, as well as our volunteer fire department and the MNRF, not to exclude many of the other groups that were part of this. We're going to try to get back to a state of, and I'll use the word loosely, normal, but again, our work from a municipal level continues to try and recover those costs associated with Red 49. But I'm just so proud of our community and everything associated with Red 49, how our staff work here day and night. Along, again, not to discredit any other groups, such as the MNRF and our volunteer firefighters, but we work here day and night to keep things going, and we, with our media releases, we were trying to keep the public up to date as often as we could, and I thought we did a fantastic job with that as well too. There's always things to learn from these events, and we're going to continue to meet as an emergency management group moving forward to assess those intricate things and see where we can make improvements in the future. So thank you to all of our residents, council, and municipal staff, and all of our community groups. And not to forget our neighboring communities, such as Ear Falls, Dryden, Kenora, and everybody through the Northwest who assisted Red Lake. We deeply appreciate it. Thank you. So I don't know if council has any remarks at all, or good. Council Hayes?
Yeah, I would like to reinforce how amazing our staff was in just stepping up to the plate immediately. You know, shifting gears no matter what else people have on the go. It was pretty amazing. And the firefighters, yeah, I think we need to celebrate because that's people worked hard.
You did a fantastic job. Councilor Christoph.
So yeah, I was really impressed with how well everybody worked together, all the different groups. Hindsight's always 20/20, and like you're gonna have discussions, you're gonna figure stuff out. But it was pretty amazing to watch how everybody worked together, even in the small chambers. You know, everyone was taking tasks. It was like, can you do this? Yes, I'll do it, and right on it. Sitting back a little bit, not being part of the control group in that, and like seeing how everybody worked and how everybody worked together was really neat to see. Doesn't happen all that often, but everybody did their part, which was good to see. And I do want to say also like a shout out to Dryden, because when I went down, I went to the arena to see how things were going there. Mayor was there were other people that were there, the police, they were all, and everybody had talked to people inside the arena, they were all doing well, they're thankful they had beds. Some didn't, but they were all treated really well, respectfully. That's one big thing, everyone said they were treated really well. I went back a few days later to talk with them as well, and just the people that were working there are just unreal, the support you got from, and I'm sure if you went to Silicon in any case and Kenora into those same situations, it would have been the same. you say small town, but it's a small town, but it's a small community, and you're talking all of northwestern Ontario, like everybody stepped up, and it'd go the same way, we'd be the same way if Deer Falls in that situation or whatever, or anybody. It's pretty amazing how everybody comes together. I just wanted to say that because I thought it was.
Okay, thank you. Any other remarks?
I want to commend all the camps and all the businesses that opened up their arms. That I got a lot of responses from a lot of people. When I put out, we were looking for food for the fire department at one point in time, and it was amazing the response we got. We were getting people from Kenora, people from Thunder Bay. We were getting large businesses offering food. It was just amazing, and it was overwhelming to see how much people actually stepped up to the plate. And the fire department with the MNRF and the MTO, it was an instrumental ballet of people just coordinating. It was amazing.
Great, thank you. Any other comments?
Yeah, I got a couple. Same thing, I guess, the camps, Deer Falls, right? Thunder Bay, everyone who took Kenora, everyone who took that residence was good. There's so many groups, the contractors as well that were, with the heavy equipment, working alongside the MNR to do all the work in the bush. They helped them quite a bit too, I don't really want to mention that, but we'll probably forget someone, but it's not. We're very lucky to have that many people work together. Our staff was, just seeing how hard they worked to come back this morning, even when they were told to come a little later, they were already in early, very dedicated, and it's nice to see. Yeah, just everything was great. Can't just single one group, there's so many, and hopefully it's another 40 years before we have to go through this. There's always going to be some mistakes when we look back, but we haven't been through it before. It's been 40 years since we've been through it. So we're lucky that everyone got to try it out. This time it's done all fine. It's really going to be a challenge.
Okay, thank you. Okay, moving down to 12B, the Infrastructure Development Coordinator staff reports is, the first one is the fencing replacement. Mr. CAO.
So before you is a recommendation to select Wallace and Wallace Fencing Limited for the service of the fencing replacement at the Philip Thomas Burnett Centennial Park and Mr. Kuchin ball field. This is part of the ICIP program, so this is funds that have already been approved through that program, have also been approved through our 2020 budget process, capital budget process. This project will enhance that area even further. And we talked about the ICIP program in its entirety, but we concentrated more on the road network and the ditching, the stormwater drainage that we'll be doing. But there'll be significant investment in the movement of people, so now people can safely walk around. The ball field will be more pavement, as I mentioned. The whole outfield will be brand new fencing. The backstop will be extended and will be taller, and that will be extended to further protect, onlookers, which would be to the south, and then would be the west along the Legion side. This will be an incredible improvement to that area. And again, it's budgeted, falls within the parameters of the ICIP program, and just looking for council's endorsement today.
Any questions? Sure.
So you can do both
Okay,
reports
yeah.
and then
So
one
we'll do the other one.
resolution for both reports.
Okay, and then we'll move on to 12 B, item 2, the supply of the municipal sidewalk tractor. Mr. CAO.
So again, another item that is, been approved through the 2020 capital budget. The recommendation before you is to select FST Canada Inc., Joe Johnson Equipment, for the supply of one municipal sidewalk tractor. This is a very useful tool that can be used all year round, whether it's in the wintertime cleaning our streets, or the summertime or cleaning our sidewalks, summertime sweeping our sidewalks. The attachments that we're proposing will address a lot of the need in the rural roads, and that being along the ditches, clean those areas, make them more safer for our residents. And through this process, there was an opportunity, again, we had a certain allotment as per the 2020 budget. Pricing came in below what was anticipated. We felt there was an opportunity. There is an opportunity for council's consideration to include a 60-inch ankle sweeper and also a 74-inch flail mower. And I open it up for any questions or comments.
Any questions, comments? Okay, seeing none. Moved by Councillor Butterfield, seconded by Councillor Hager. Resolved that the Council of the Corporation, the Municipality of Red Lake hereby approves the Infrastructure Development Coordinator staff reports as follows. Staff report IDC-20-006, the fencing replacement, Wallace & Wallace Fences Limited. And IDC-20-007, supply of municipal sidewalk tractor, FST Canada Inc., OA Joe Johnson Equipment. All in favor? Carried. Moved by Councillor Baduch, seconded by Councillor Butterfield. Resolved that the Council of the Corporation of the Municipality of Red Lake hereby consider bylaw number 65-2020 and 66-2020 as read without amendment or a debate a first and second time. All in favor? Carried. Moved by Councillor Hager, seconded by Councillor Butterfield. Resolved that the Council of the Corporation of the Municipality of Red Lake hereby consider bylaw number 65-2020 and 66-2020 as read a third time and passed. All in favor? Carried. Okay, nothing from the clerk or treasurer, and we'll slide down to item number 13, new business paving and patching for discussion. Mr. CAO.
So I'll just begin the discussion. The $200,000 was approved in the 2020 budget. Through the staff report that was provided by Todd Olson, our infrastructure development coordinator, there was a number of priority areas, and as mentioned before, those areas are the patch, water break areas throughout our municipality. And then for the priority paving, that number is $41,438.76. The remaining amount, and for the purposes of the discussion today, we're asking council to identify other areas that we will address in 2020, and that there is $157,831 remaining. I will note that we've had this document for some time now, and that the pavers will be in on Thursday to meet with Todd, Mr. Olson, to go over areas, including the ICI project. So I'll open it up.
Great, thank you. So we were supplied with the document before, and I know council has some different thoughts. So what we'll do is we'll go around the table, have some thoughts, and then we'll come up with some planned paving for our 157,831. So I know Councillor Christoph, you wanted to speak to a couple of things, so I'll start with you. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So Just a quick question for the CAO. So with all the water main breaks that we've recently had during the fire and all that sort of stuff, is there consideration for some of this to be used to fix those and the road work around that, or we're just concentrating on the stuff we have on the list?
So those water breaks, specifically the ones that occurred during the evacuation and the fire, we've expressed this to the Ministry of Municipal Affairs, Housing, that these were a result of the evacuation and the pressure on our system, and it was the extreme on-off approach that, specifically if I think about the area that's behind, across the street from Home Hardware, Jeff Pellet's area, back in that area was a concern, and the break did occur there. So it's saying that those costs we will be submitting to the under the Municipal Disaster Recovery Program.
Okay, thank you. So looking at that list, and then also looking at the info that we're given on Street Scan, I feel that we should kind of stick to along the lines of what the Street Scan says. That's kind of the true tell of what roads need to be done in which order. So there are some big roads, like Lassie is one that's always been a big issue. So that's one that was fairly high up on the list. And there was a couple other ones, but they were just like Alley 1 and 2 in Kosher were ones, because they were high on the list on that Street Scan to be done. So to me, I would like to see the Street Scan followed for those roads that need to get done.
In order of sequence, starting with road number 1.
For roads that need the higher, that have the higher priority, that meet both the PCI and that meet the two levels, the two categories that they have on there. That's where I would lean to. That the Street Scan is we're paying for the program. We're using that to work on the roads so that we know which one we should be doing. I think we should follow that. That's just my thought.
Councilor Good.
Yeah, I guess, well, the priority paving, that's set, we definitely need to do that. The other one I saw was, follow up with, the one around the hospital. I think that's probably a really good idea because that affects the whole community. Everyone goes in and out of the hospital, clinic, pharmacy, so I believe we should try and do that. And then after that, I think too, we should go down the list and whatever fits from top to bottom. Obviously, the ones that are more than we have, we can't do. It doesn't make sense to do half a job and then half a job later. But we should knock down the list of what fits the criteria for money, top down, because we had a discussion last year about roads, and that was a big thing, is where roads were on the streets. So, if last year we were discussing things that were down the road, that's not a priority, I think we should keep them, and work our way down.
For sure, and part of it though is we're doing a $5 million project in Red Lake, and other areas within the municipality are not getting any attention.
Yeah.
So there's different, so for example, you mentioned the hospital, and I think Councillor Butterfield will be talking about that in a moment as well too. That's not part of the Street Scan. So we have to pay attention to those other needs that are throughout our community. While the Street Scan is valuable information and provides us some guidance, it doesn't necessarily mean it has to be followed, because that was done a number of years ago when roads change and shift as well too. It's a fabulous document for providing direction, but again, we're looking at using only $157,000, where a majority of these roads could be hundreds of thousands of dollars to complete, instead of doing a half a road. So that's why when these come forward like this, we like council's opinion on moving forward on doing some different outside areas that we can manage. So thank you for that, I appreciate
And
that.
that's what I said. There's obviously things on here that can't be done for the money we have, and we should look at doing them, but there are ones that should.
For sure. And it's a matter of opinion, I get that. Okay, Councilor Butterfield, go ahead.
Definitely looking at the hospital, that was my number one priority. That does affect a lot of community members. I've been approached by a number of people asking about it. And then, definitely looking into this document, there's, quite a number of places that we need a little bit of work on. And, I think we should kind of cross-reference with the street scan in order to get it. And I know that street scan, like you were talking about Lassie Road, Lassie needs a lot of infrastructure underneath before we can do the top, so definitely we should just cross-reference, see what's going on.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Hager, anything?
Okay, yes, what is the cost, the anticipated cost of the hospital, like, I know that was an additional,
Yeah,
wasn't it?
it's a little over 11.
Yeah, it's 11,500. I will note that there's also an opportunity for, the hospital itself to do areas that is on their property. Like, for example, around the helipad, there's some gravel areas that they will address and have agreed to.
Okay, so it'll be a partnership.
Correct, but our portion would be 11,500.
So I think where I'm going is, I like the idea of street scan. My big concern would be, we really need to look at those roads, because if it's an area where, can I just do a throwback to when roads were completed here in Bombertown? I do not know what year it was, but they were all paved, and then we had the gas lines came in and they dug up. So I think that's where my concern would be, is if there's mining or something happening and it's a road that's supposed to be like number 1 or number 2 on the list, we just need to make sure we take those things into consideration. You know, that in 2 years from now, we're not going to be, something that's gonna be torn up, or
For sure.
that's. So how old is the street scan? What year was that?
2017. And I will note that some of the areas have been addressed to some degree. For example, like the Detta Road, 2nd Street, like that corner way at the end of Detta. That was addressed, but it didn't address the whole
Infrastructure.
that whole area portion.
Okay, and I've been looking through the document, and as our residents can attest, you know, our roads need repair, but obviously we can't afford everything, which is unfortunate based on our tax base. But I'm so happy that we got our ICIP money that we applied for to get all of that road work done in the Red Lake area as well. I was looking at McManus Loop, just the surface treated portion for $91,500. There's no infrastructure needs underneath there, and it's a complete resurface, and that community up at that upper end has been dealing with that for a long time. That was the cheapest of the 3 options. There was one for 160 and one for 149, and this is the cheapest at 91.5. So, what we can do in order to go around, we can start off with a couple projects, see if there's council's approval, see how much money we have left, and then council can make recommendations from that, if everyone's okay with that. Yeah? Good, okay. So, council's feeling, so we have $157,831 to use. That was approved in our budget. So is everyone okay with the hospital for $11,500? So all in favor of the hospital? Okay, so we'll use that. And I will move forward on this one here on the McManus Loop surface treated portion only which is the cheapest of the three for $91,500. All in favor of that one? No? No? I'll make it three, so that'll pass. And how much does that leave us, Mr. CEO?
That, was 91.5,
And 11.5 for the hospital.
54,832.
54,832. So, councilors, do you have any suggestions for the remaining 54,832?
I didn't realize that we were supposed to pick a road on that street scan that we wanted to do.
Well, we're going through trying to,
For that extra money, where you're just saying, what do we have left?
54,832.
No, before that 91,000.
146, this is including the hospital. 146,332.
So there was no project on the street scan that we could have done? That are higher up on the list that we found? For 144?
Well, I put it to council if council wanted to do McManus Road. And it was 3-2 on McManus Road. So that carried.
Yeah, I see, but I didn't know that we were supposed to nominate the project.
I just asked. So that's why I'm going around saying if there's any projects, I said I'll start with the ones that I had. Councillor Hager?
Okay, my understanding was that we were given this document, well, it says July 10th, that was what we were supposed to do, was to go through.
Go through these.
Yeah,
and if-
bring projects forward.
And if council wanted something different off of the street scan, they can bring that forward. So that's why we're going around the table
Okay,
here.
no, that's what I mean, I think that we're following the protocol.
Pardon me?
I said, I thought we were following the protocol that had been set in place, so
Thought we were.
that's what we're doing.
I thought that we would have a list of roads, and then we would choose from a list of roads instead of just one, because say if I threw one out, hey, yeah, okay, yeah, it's good, like with McManus. And I'm okay if we stay with that, because there was a vote and it's 3-2, and that's fine, we voted. So I guess it's just bad on me for not clarifying that. order was.
So we have 54,832 remaining. Is there something that council would like to see done with that? Councillor Hager?
Okay, well then I would like to put forward what, you know, if the street scan has indicated that the Lassie area is one of the ones that's,
But we have our infrastructure needs under there that
oh,
have to be completed, so doing the paving.
But there's not on there was,
right.
what had to do with the sidewalk or the
Yeah.
drainage and stuff.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, so this side, east, that's where the infrastructure is old.
Right.
This west is new infrastructure.
And I apologize, I thought you were referring to back end behind us here.
One of them, yeah.
So for any,
I'll
council,
throw one out.
sure, go ahead.
Um,
Is it on this document here or the street
it's
scan?
not on the document,
Okay,
it's from the street scan.
okay,
And it's, there's 3 alleys in Koshner, one's 26.9, one's 39.3, and one's 39.4.
can you say those again, please?
There's alley 1, alley 2, and alley 3, that's what it said on the street scan, I'm not too sure which ones it was, but one was for 26.9.
26.9?
Yep.
Okay.
One was for 39.3.
Yep.
And then one was for 39.4. So I'm just throwing that, if we want to choose one of those ones,
I'd like to know exactly where those alleys are. I don't know, Mr. CA over there.
So it would be the first lane, as you enter Koshar, Edward Avenue, it would be the first lane to your left. And, that would tie in well with the paving we did last year on the road.
And then the second and third one?
That would be Edward and Mills Avenue, so Edward Avenue.
Yep.
And Mills. So that would be, not exactly sure what that is.
So one is when you come in, two would be that next one, and three would be.
That's what I'm thinking, the
Yeah.
three, as you're traveling up. I'm making that assumption, but I didn't wanna.
Yeah, that's how I.
So Mills Avenue, that's the one that runs along the little grocery store and, is that Mills?
I think so.
Oh, okay, yeah, so that would be the,
So the 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Councilor Purdue?
I was, under the impression that the water line ran up and down the valleys, and there's some of them that are gonna need to be fixed, so. I don't know if she's pulling up, putting down fresh asphalt, just to dig it up. I think we should try to check on that. Okay, we will.
that is a good point, services do run down. I'd have to double check on the Edward Avenue and the Murdoch. That one might be okay, but that would have to be verified through,
See, I chose those ones because those were the highest ones up on the streets here, they had the highest, so.
But as Councilor
Yeah.
Duke alluded to the fact, there's, I think, some infrastructure needs under there. Can we confirm with Mr. Olson by any stretch?
Okay.
On the first one?
What we could do too is have a plan B if that is the case,
Correct. I'm going there.
then we go somewhere.
So the first thing is there any other council would like to nominate for consideration?
Which is, what, 43?
Well, or, pardon me? Councilor Purdue?
What's the total amount we have left?
54,832.
Can I make a comment? Just keep in mind when you're looking at the street scan, so the reclamation, that's a reconstruction, right? So that's just not an overlay. The rehabilitation is more of the resurfacing, so just keep that in mind when you're looking at this. So it's, and we also, in that, I mean, not taking away from the suggestion by any means, our crews will be very busy this year with the ICIP project.
So the surface treated ones, the easy ones, just doing those overlays are probably best considering the ICIP project that's happening. And those paving crews can just go out and surface those areas, and then it's completed with minimal municipal staff, as an FYI. So, brought forward, and we'll check on it though, 26-9 was the first alleyway, Edwards.
And that one was fine, I was throwing out any one of those three, right?
Okay, no, that's fair.
So,
Any other that council would like to, Councilor Butterfield?
So I'm looking at the Delmar Road, considering that we're gonna be doing the loop anyways, we're close. I would like to look at the two that are listed here. The Delmar Road cross heave.
Which page are you on, Councilor Butterfield?
Page 4, that's, page 413, that's already included in.
Is it? Yeah, that's part of
That's on the loop?
that's part of the priorities.
Yeah, if you flip over to page 5, Councilor Butterfield.
Okay, sorry.
No, that's okay.
One forward back.
So at the top, it'll give the, up to Mills Avenue.
Okay.
The priority paving cost, that 41, that's what we have total to date that was supplied to council. And then the rest were for consideration. But good thought, and that kind of ties in with the other one. the loop.
Yes.
Any other from council for consideration?
Judging by the pictures in, McDougal Street,
Which page you on, Councilor Purdue?
page 7,
I'm sorry, 7?
McDougal Street, pretty bad.
That's toward the homeless shelter? Not homeless, sorry, Summers Road, is that the one?
No, there's a vacant lot on the corner. It's right near Green Airways.
Oh, yes, yes,
Vacant lot on the corner of Barnett.
yep, definitely.
Another one that's could it, I agree that take discretion, should be on the right page,
Okay, which page are you on, please?
page 10.
Are you looking at the bottom one for 54.7?
Yeah, 50,470.
So, you're bringing forward McDougal Street for 32,445 and Pace for 54.70, and Councillor, Christoph brought the first alleyway in for 26.9. Am I hearing any further? No. You,
That total $109,860.
Okay, so we have $54,832 to work with. The three projects that were brought forward, the two by Councillor Duke and the one by Councillor Christoph, totals $109,816. So, that being said, we could probably do two of the three, the two of the lesser ones, with being a bit over, unless council would like to approve amending the budget by approximately $55,000 or so to add, to ensure that those three projects are completed. But again, the first one of the alleyway that was brought forward, we're not 100% sure on the infrastructure needs underneath. So that being said, depending on those needs, that could be removed from the list. But if there's no infrastructure needs under the ground with a concern, we can keep that on the list. But I'm looking for council's direction. Do we want to stay within the $54,832 budget, or do we want to increase the budget by $55,000 approximately to have all three of those completed? Councilor Bridget?
I'm not, for upping the budget.
Not?
I'd rather, if we can't do one, then we do one.
Okay. Want to stick with the budget? Councilor Christoph?
I think we should stick with the budget.
Okay. So that being said, if we, let me just do some rough math here,
If
sorry.
you,
Mr. Mayor.
so, if you do McDougal and that one alleyway, it'll be $69,345.
So we'll be over 14K. Councilor Christoph?
So what if we just do Pace, because that's 50,470, right? So that's really close to budget, because that was one of the roads that Councillor Duke threw forward. Take out the alleyway and the other one, and do Pace, because that's pretty close to using up that budget, right?
Yeah, that would be close for sure.
Yeah, it'd be about, you'd be,
Under by about
4,500 below budget.
Is that something council would like to do? Yeah, I'm hearing yes?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we'll move forward with that project then as well. And those will be our roads along, of course, with our huge project, the ICIP project moving forward in Red Lake, which is going to be immense. And I would think that's going to be continuing on to next year because of the delays, but we'll see how Mother Nature treats us moving forward. Councillor Hager.
Just a question with regards to the people that are coming in to do the job.
Yes,
So this means that these are pretty tight costs, right? Because we're not paying for relocation fees or
Correct.
they're already here, okay.
correct, these are the cheapest we could get them because they're already coming in to do the ICIP project, so I hate to say we got a deal, but we got a lower cost for the paving because they were gonna already be in town.
So can I just recommend then that maybe we start this process earlier next year?
For
Like
sure.
that because we already have, obviously, we've already identified, and if they're gonna be here again, then maybe we start looking at this instead of in July, let's, April or, I know this year was bad
And
because
this,
of COVID, so.
and this was a unique year on many fronts, but also we were working on updating the strategic plan last fall. Ideally, we would like to have the capital approved in December and operating approved in January.
Typically. But then there was that thing called COVID, and everybody wearing the masks, thank you for complying. That's another challenge we're facing along with our recent evacuation and everything else that's going along with it, so thank you. Okay, so that being said, yes, those are the three we went through.
Okay. That's a German.
Moved by Councilor Hager, seconded by Councilor Butterfield, resolved that the council of the corporation, the municipality of Red Lake hereby adjourns to meet again at the call of the mayor. All in favor?